Gentlemen, you've had your instructions. The only thing I'm going to tell you now is when I tell you stop, that means stop whatever you're doing, give me a clean break. Protect yourselves at all times, obey my commands at all times. I expect a good, clean fight. Let's do it.
As a rule, fighters like Mosley who are coming back fight fighters like Cruz and then when they finally go up against a younger, better opponent, they get exposed. I'm not sure what we'll find out about Mosley here, but he sure looks like a welterweight standing there in the corner. And let's see how he is going to attack this attacker.
Cruz begins laying his jab out there. Mosley snaps a jab in return. Mosley straight over the top with a sharp right hand. Emmanuel, what kind of a fighter was John David Jackson? What kind of a trainer will he be for Shane Mosley?
John David Jackson himself was a very skillful technical fighter, and I've been impressed by the fact that he has told me that he's not going to try to change Shane Mosley and try to make him into just a boxer. You know, the name Sugar can be misleading in the case of Shane, because a lot of guys with Sugar, they're real, you know, flashy boxers, but actually Shane likes to get in and explode with combinations. He likes to fight more than most guys with the name Sugar.
As a lightweight, he was a body destroyer. As a welterweight, he began focusing a little bit more on the attack upstairs, particularly in his first win against Oscar De La Hoya. Then when he beat De La Hoya in their second fight, he did so largely on the strength of hard body shots.
You know, he started off boxing here and looked like he's trying to get into his rhythm right now, which is basically wanting to do more.
Jose Luis Cruz tried to drop a right hand on him. Cruz, for a moment, thought he was going to end the fight right there. I'm sure that's happened to a variety of Cruz opponents. You saw that 25 of his knockouts had taken place in the early rounds.
This is Mexican Independence weekend, and the fans are out here in force for their men.
You know, even though Cruz is a little bit slow, Shane seems to be having problems of trying to figuring out how to penetrate and get inside. And when he has landed a few punches, Cruz has taken them very easily, came right back through.
Interesting that Shane Mosley, now a promotional client of Oscar De La Hoya's promotional firm, has the word azúcar, Spanish for sugar, on the front of his trunks.
Look at everybody that Oscar is fighting, that beats him or gives him a tough fight, he's making them partners.
and helping to present them to his own audience, as is clearly the case by putting a Spanish word on the front of Mosley's trunks. Oscar trying to expand his chief rival's audience.
Yes, he's doing a great job.
That's good business. That is smart business.
I don't think you'll see him putting Fernando Vargas in this company.
Well, if that happens, then you'll know that anything is possible.
Well, for quite a few reasons. One, I think he wants to fight it.
Yes, and apparently there will be no third fight between Shane Mosley and Oscar De La Hoya. They both say that the new affiliation would completely eliminate any possibility of that. Round one, a boxing round.
Look, you got pain from the front. Keep touching. Nice and light. Can you sit for the fight? And then it's coming. Take the minute down. Keep over.
Okay, you need to do a little bit more. Yeah, just to do it sideways. Don't lose your confidence. Yeah. Come on, we have all the resources. Yeah.
Guys,
you can beat this guy. Come on, if you will it, you can do it.
CompuBox numbers in round one: Mosley 10 out of 36, Cruz 4 out of 52. So the Mexican fighter throws more punches, but lands very few. Right hand lead lands for Mosley. Cruz gets him with a right hand to the body and backs him back out. Cruz reaching with that left hand. He better be careful about that. Mosley forces him to step into a right as Cruz leans in.
Cruz got a very slow, but it's still the rhythm is getting Shane a little bit off track, but Shane can't get his rhythm going.
But when you look at how slowly Cruz brings his left hand back from the jab, you have to begin thinking that Shane will be thinking right hand.
Interesting, in both of those punches, wide punches by Cruz, Mosley had his gloves up around his face. He wasn't pulling away from the punches, which has been a flaw exposed by Forrest and perhaps Winky Wright as well.
If Cruz had a little bit more hand speed, I think Shane would be having problems tonight.
But he doesn't.
If he
He's
had a
still
little
got
bit
that
more
lazy left.
Too slow. Everything about him is slow. His balance, everything.
In his one previous fight, coming back to the welterweight division against David Estrada a few months ago, Mosley felt he got hit too much. So one thing he's working on tonight is to avoid that, and one of the things that specifically goes with that is don't pull out with your head straight up.
Yeah, and if he was really supposed to be like most sugars out, was boxing a lot, he wouldn't have as many problems with these guys he's having. He needs to box more, but he's trying to set and figure out how he can explode with power punches. Like that, instead of actually moving, dancing, jabbing to the body, jabbing to the head, feint a jab, then jab it. He doesn't do that.
Well, what his previous trainer, his original trainer, his father Jack Mosley called it was power boxing. And I guess, Larry Merchant, that power boxing was a brand of boxer-puncher technique designed to maximize the chance for knockouts, right?
Yes, and as a lightweight, he was just stronger and faster than everybody and was dominant at that weight. But at the higher weights, he tended to get more flat-footed to show he was as strong as his opponents, and changed his style, and that's what he's trying to change here.
Cruz landed a right hand and momentarily excited the Mexican crowd, and now Cruz throws two punches well after the bell. I mean, where's the composure? That was a good 3 or 4 seconds after the bell sounded.
Come on, take a lot of...
Meanwhile, we're waiting for our main event following this one, in which Marco Antonio Barrera will be defending his share of the 130-pound crown, and he's generally recognized as the kingpin of the division, against Robbie Peden, who also has a belt. Barrera from Mexico City, Peden from Queensland in Australia, Brisbane, Surfer's Paradise, that section. Still to come. End of the round. Bell. Boom. 2 shots. Maybe not 3 or 4 seconds, but way after. Power shots through 2. According to CompuBox, Mosley 14 out of 39, Cruz 9 out of 47. Now Cruz begins to get off a little quicker and lands a left hook, but then Mosley clocks him with a straight right hand over the top.
Cruz seems to take a pretty good punch, and forget, Shane is not a really devastating puncher, as Larry pointed out earlier. As a lightweight, he was just so physically strong, he overpowered everyone. But as he grew up in another weight division, he never showed any devastating one-punch power when he fought the elite fighters in his divisions.
No, although he's proud of some, as he put it, nasty knockouts in the welterweight division. Adrian Stone, Shannon Taylor, of course. Some critics gave him holy hell for fighting Adrian Stone and Shannon Taylor instead of more decorated opponents at that time.
But I use the phrase elite fighters in the divisions.
Yes, right, not those guys.
Yeah, not those guys. The Vernon Forces and the guys of that time.
Well, the Vernon Forrest thing was a style matchup that somehow just didn't work for Shane. People who saw them years before in the amateurs told me before they fought, you watch, Vernon has Shane timed, and it turned out to be exactly the truth.
Yep. Good left hook in there by Mosley.
Vernon Forrest, of course, coming back from a long layoff due to injury. Had a fine outing in Memphis a few weeks ago, and no doubt will be fighting again before the end of the year. Uppercut by Mosley as Cruz leaned in.
This guy Cruz, I may be wrong. I think it's one of the slowest fighters I've saw in years.
Yeah, he is very slow.
Extremely slow. I mean, all of the heavyweights I know are faster than he is.
So he must have a powerful right hand, because to be that slow and still be unbeaten suggests that he's been icing people.
And it depending on where you're fighting and who you've been fighting. And I think most of the fights haven't been in Mexico, where they're probably protected in the caliber of opponents.
Well, you know, they used to rip Julio Cesar Chavez for all the Tijuana taxi drivers on his record. I guess maybe there are taxi drivers in Guadalajara too.
Yeah, but Chavez was a way, way better fighter than this year. This guy is so slow.
But his sheer length seems to be giving Shane some uncertain moments in there.
Yes, that's very true. Shane still can't get a good rhythm of any type going against this guy, and it's bothering him.
He's had trouble with tall opponents before. Most notably, of course, Vernon Forrest. But Winky Wright's height advantage was also significant. It's a balance festival, or an imbalance festival.
I was just going to say he's reducing his speed pretty much, getting a bit more and more closer to the speed of Cruz and his style.
Give me a towel, Honor. Give me a towel, champ.
Towel.
Give me a towel.
Wednesday, September 28th, it's the next Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel. You'll see defending NASCAR champ Kurt Busch try to remake his controversial image while also attempting to repeat as champion.
They try to advise you to count on the body, go count the body, or go, or put the jail up front, and you fall to the body. All right? You move your hand nice, and you stand below.
Jose Luis, you gotta throw more punches. He gave you a headshot. Now hit him back real hard. Come on, real hard stuff.
Both fighters seem to be on the imbalance beam.
CompuBox numbers through 3, not a pretty fight at all. Shane Mosley, 39 out of 120. Jose Luis Cruz, 25 out of 211. He's thrown 91 more punches than Shane in just 3 rounds. Harold, how do you have it?
Okay, Jim. 3 rounds to nothing, 30-27. Sugar Shane Mosley. Jim, I gotta tell you, this guy Jose Luis Cruz, he's an awkward kind of guy. He keeps flipping out that left jab. I don't know why. He's short with it 95% of the time. Because there's an accidental headbutt. Because of the fact that Shane Mosley doesn't know what the guy is going to do, he's fighting a very defensive fight. 3-0, Mosley.
You talked about how Mosley looks hesitant sometimes, Emmanuel. That may be one reason right there. He told us, he said, this guy throws his head forward before he punches, and so to counter him, you have to be very careful. And already they've banged heads here in the 4th round.
He's becoming very, very physical since he seems like he knows he can't compete with Shane's boxing skills, so he's becoming very physical every chance he gets.
Well, perhaps thinking of the height differential, Oscar De La Hoya was quoted as saying, if Cruz has a chin, this could be a long night for Shane.
And it looked like Oscar's prediction is very, very true at this stage.
Stop punching. Break clean. Let's go.
I'm very impressed by Cruz's performance. Even though he is not used to fight before large crowds of his type, he seems to be very relaxed, very calm. Just the fact that he's so slow, but that's nothing to do with his mental state of mind.
No, he has no advantages other than his size, and he seems to be able to read that. So he's trying to use his size for every advantage he can get.
But he doesn't seem to be nervous at all.
Well, he's a professional. He's not supposed to be nervous. He's supposed to fight.
Mosley seems to be focusing on the body here in round 4. I still don't think I see, Emmanuel, the fluid combination punching that defines Shane Mosley at his peak.
I will have to admit myself, Jim, I'm very disappointed. I thought I would see a much better fluid punchers, better speed, better coordination. I'm not seeing
more putting punches together. As a 154-pounder, he fell into the bad habit of throwing one punch at a time and often trying to load up on those punches. It seems to be a habit he's having a hard time getting rid of.
And he seems to be falling right in the pattern of his opponent. And that's what happens often when you fight a lower opponent. You gradually start adjusting to his level, and that's what's happening in this fight tonight.
Accidental headbutt right here. Fortunately, nobody came out of it with any red on them.
Although Shane Mosley might get a bump on the cheekbone.
Feign him every now and then. Move that head a little bit for me. He's falling for the head feint. You keep him in the head, and you want to touch. Hold on, man. Let's give him some water. Give him some water.
My calf, he got my calf early in the round.
Huh?
So he got my calf early in the round. He hit it with the foot, then he charged.
You all right?
You heard Mosley talk about his calf maybe being sore from being accidentally kicked somewhere in that round. I just think that Mosley has a big, awkward, pretty strong guy in front of him, and it's hard to look good against this kind of guy until you wind up stopping him, maybe.
And the guy is becoming more and more physical as the fight progresses.
Again, I think you can see that he doesn't have any advantages except his size. So he's trying to put his body on Shane and make Shane feel the pressure of having to deal with a bigger man.
Punch it out. Punch it out. There you go.
Mosley's starting to work his jab pretty well.
That's what he should do more of, jabbing up, because the way the guy holds his hand, Mosley could easily jab over top of his hand and then jab him to the body. He can really confuse him and then maybe set him up for a good power shot.
Hard right hand by Cruz, one of his better punches of the fight.
Free up your hand.
And it was thrown with some speed.
The left is painfully slow, but the right hand he's a little bit more assertive with.
And he does actually probes a lot with the left hand. He don't even make contact a lot. He just keeps pawing it out, pawing it out.
Free up your hands, Shane. Free up. Free up.
He uses his left as a rangefinder the way some heavyweights do.
Yes, he does.
He fights like a right-hand punching heavyweight who expects to knock his man out with a right cross.
Yes, he just uses it as a rangefinder. His probe feels with it. Particularly a lot of European fighters do that.
Shane Mosley with big quickness advantages, starting to make them pay off a little more. There was a good three-punch combination. And now a buggy whip right hand lands twice.
But I don't think he hurt Cruz. I think the last punch after he landed, he just kind of pushed his head on over a lot more.
There's a hard right hand by Mosley.
That was a good right hand.
Cruz comes forward right through it. Well, Oscar De La Hoya said it. If he's got a chin, could be a long night. So far, looks like he does have a chin. Starting to see a little bit of swelling around the eyes of Jose Luis Cruz from the constant rat-a-tat-tat of Mosley's jab and his occasional right hands. There's the buggy whip right hand again. And again.
So far, you could say that Shane Mosley is fighting under Cruz control.
Let's go to Robbie Beaton's locker room and take a good look at the Australian challenger to Marco Antonio Barrera's kingpin status in the 130-pound division tonight. In 1999, Beaton survived an assault in his own apartment in Australia when an intruder came through the door in the middle of the night, attacked a sleeping pedant, beat him with a club around the head. He suffered gashes on the forehead that took 50 stitches to close, a broken hand, and other injuries. Really took him a year to be right from all that, but he came back and regained his effectiveness in the ring.
Clean right hands by Mosley.
Mosley finding the target in the 5th round with power shots. He landed 18 out of 30. Cruz is also beginning to land a little more effectively. 11 out of 45 power shots in that round. But it is Mosley who lands the quicker, sharper, presumably more damaging punches. Like that. Shane Mosley's had plenty of regular sparring partners who are faster than Jose Luis Cruz.
Anybody's going to be faster than Jose Luis Cruz.
It almost has to be culture shock for him to be fighting somebody this slow. I mean, look at that. That's an arcing, slow right hand that traveled for about a month in the air before it reached Mosley. And still, despite the fact that it's a slow, lazy left hook, he lands it. Straight right hand by Mosley.
But Cruz is not that difficult to hit.
No, and the speed and quickness advantage is showing up to such an extent that Cruz's eyes are going to close.
Yeah,
I think is what's going to bring it into this fight. After a while, he won't see well. And Mosley can see that and is starting to pot shot Cruz around the eyes from outside. The left eye is starting to bleed, I believe.
All right, free up your hands, guys. Free up. There you go.
Or if not to bleed, at least to swell so precipitously that by the end of this round, Cruz is going to have difficulty seeing out of it. And that's probably the product of those buggy whip right hands I was describing.
Yeah,
in the
he's
last
hitting a
round.
lot of right hands. He's landing about 80% of whatever he throws. That's unusual, especially for right hands. Now he just,
Now
I think,
Shane is
elbowed.
blinking his own eyes.
Yeah, I think he got elbowed inside there.
He's very worried about headbutts. He's there are some moments when Shane's putting his glove up on his forehead. He's so worried about headbutts.
Yeah, and you know, when a guy does that to you, it takes a good fighter out of his pattern when he starts worrying about being fouled.
Stop. Look at him, Shane. Let go. You got my arm right here. Good job. Let's go.
Shane's having an ongoing conversation with Robert Byrd about all the things Cruz is doing. Good left hook to the body. Cruz takes it well and comes back. Shane says, okay, I'll fight. You want to fight? I like to fight. Now they're kicking each other and pushing each other. It's like a World Wrestling Entertainment match in there. Mosley backs him off with a little left hook. Cruz with 2 good body shots to end the round. Don't think he's won one yet, though.
Toma aire. Toma aire. Chelín, tienes que hacer lo mismo que hiciste ahora en los 2 últimos rounds.
You gotta do what you just finished doing the last 2 rounds.
Puedes hacerlo.
You can do it. Don't let him. He's afraid of you and he respects you. He's afraid of you and it shows a lot of respect. Come on. Tonight's our night. Deep breath. Come on. With valor, with bravery. No more water.
Glove that you'll see right here that got into the eye of Mosley, bothered him momentarily. You know, someday, Emmanuel, I want to put together a montage of some of the unbelievable things that corner people say between rounds.
Well, how do you have it through
I
six?
hope I'm nice, man.
Okay, Jim. 6-0, 60-54, Sugar Shane Mosley. Should I tell you, this guy is a very, very awkward guy, Jose Luis Cruz. He stands straight up, so he's certainly not hard to hit. And Mosley's nailing him with right-hand counter shots and right-hand leads. So he's doing a clean, effective punching, just like you saw there. Good right hands, nailing Jose Luis Cruz. And so far, it's just all Mosley. Cruz not doing enough to win a round.
Larry, if you ever do put that montage together, please don't forget to put in the one last week where the guy's getting beat to Morales, and his dad is steadily telling him the referee is against us. That's the only instructions he gives in between rounds.
Good body punch.
2 of them.
Emmanuel, have you seen Mosley pull back from punches the way he used to? He looks like he's emphasizing keeping his gloves up so that he can stay in punching range without pulling his head back, which he used to do and was effective against shorter fighters.
But, you know, I've never saw him fight this type of a fight. He's always been an explosive, fast fighter. But here he looks like, compared to his last fight, a totally different fighter. Like he's an elderly fighter that is barely just going through the motions and doing just enough to win the fight. But he seems to be very defensive-minded.
Free up, no punching. Break, no punch, no punch. Let's go. Step out.
In the first fight, an 11th round TKO for Jesus Chavez over Levander Johnson. Harold Letterman scored every round for Chavez.
All right, I got you.
So far in this fight, Harold Letterman has scored every round for Shane Mosley. Does that mean that the Golden Boy matchmakers are doing a great job, Emmanuel?
Well,
I don't know if the fans feel that way.
Step out. Let's go.
Good work, champ. Good work.
All right. Do me a favor this round. Take that jab and take him to school. Don't worry about nothing. You'll see everything else. Take that jab and take him to school. All right?
Kick that jab.
Just walk him around.
Put that on the neck, baby. Put that on the neck.
Tomorrow night on Boxing After Dark, a heavyweight battle between Vladimir Klitschko and Samuel Peter, plus Miguel Cotto versus Ricardo Torres. Immediately following Boxing on HBO, it's the behind-the-scenes documentary Countdown to Tarver Jones 3.
Ocho.
Shane Mosley is blinking his right eye and doesn't seem to be able to see well out of it, but he's able to see well enough to clock Jose Luis Cruz with that right-hand lead over the top. Good body shot by Shane.
Break clean.
Cruz has been able to do little more than wrestle with Shane for the first 7 rounds.
Stop.
Cruz lands one of his better right hands of the fight, and Mosley kind of hung there in a lull and looked at him.
Yeah, it's interesting that even though Cruz is being beaten by Shane, it seems like mentally he's still kind of intimidating Shane to some degree. I always study the mental action between two different fighters.
Well, he may have world-class or elite speed, but he does have perhaps a world-class or elite chin.
Yeah, and I think his mental attitude is very tough, too.
And a big body for a welterweight. I mean, Shane may be in here thinking, hey, wait a minute. I thought I moved from 154 back down to 147. This guy's bigger than some of the guys I fought at 154.
After all of the big welterweights that I had, with Tommy Hearns and Milton McCrory and Mike McCallum, he's really not
Just
that
another
big.
body.
Yes,
Yeah.
another body compared to those guys, 6'1" guys.
We saw Mike McCallum, the body snatcher here tonight, sitting right behind us. Big smile on his face as always. What a great guy.
And a true heavyweight today.
Oh, yes, he's a heavyweight now, but not fighting.
He's one of our top coaches now.
Well, let's just put it this way. If you're going to snatch Mike's body right now, you might need a forklift to do it.
One of the greatest fighters I've ever trained or managed.
One of Jamaica's greatest fighters ever.
Oh, yeah. Phenomenal natural fighter.
Knocked out Donald Curry with a tremendous one-punch left hook.
Clean up left hook.
That was it. You taught him that.
No, he was gifted already.
Let's go.
If something different happens in Mosley Cruz, we'll let you know. Meanwhile, it's round after round of the same thing.
There's a triple left hook there a moment ago from Mosley,
who I think has begun to throw more combinations as the fight has progressed.
But as Mosley throws his punches in, he moves and leans right in, which permits them to end up with pinches and him to get physically roughed up. So he doesn't land punches and step back and counter punch, move off to the side. He throws a punch in and leans right into the guy.
Eight rounds completed. Only 2 rounds to go. This fight is scheduled for 10.
Shane, your boxing board beautiful. Take your time.
Take care of that
Take your
bitch.
time. Take your time doing it, all right?
Take your time.
shot.
You're making a good fight, but you gotta throw more punches. You got him. Come on, take some air. Are you all right? Again, come on, get in there. Deep breath.
Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, Miguel.
Larry, when Shane Mosley originally removed his father as trainer after the first fight against Winky Wright, in his second fight against Winky Wright, he was trained and seemingly very well by Joe Goosen. What happened between Goosen and Shane?
Shane Mosley has always trained up in Big Bear, just 50 or 60 miles up in the mountains from Los Angeles. He wanted to go back to that training ground where he feels very comfortable. I'm not sure. He may own a home up there. And Joe Goosen, who has other fighters, didn't want to leave the flatlands of Los Angeles, and so Shane changed for that reason.
And winds up in the hands of a less experienced, less proven trainer in John David Jackson, which isn't necessarily bad. Shane's pretty much the finished product anyway.
Yeah, at this stage of his career, you know, it's very difficult to make a lot of changes. But if John just makes subtle changes, he can probably improve him somewhat. But Shane is going to have to make some changes himself and realize he is still a very great coordinated fighter. He should be boxing more instead of smothering his work, as we say in the game.
One possible matchup that's been discussed is Shane Mosley against the comebacking Fernando Vargas. Vargas has been ripped by many critics for how he's looked in his first 2 comeback fights against Raymond Javal and then a few weeks ago in Chicago. What do you think of Mosley versus Vargas, Larry?
I'm not sure if it's a good fight for either of them. Vargas wants another fight before a potential rematch with De La Hoya. I don't know why Mosley would want to go back up to 54, but he could make some money there. I'm not sure how much sense it makes, but maybe it'll make dollars and cents.
If Shane's looking for a big-name opponent against whom he would surely be favored, and where he would be regarded as having an excellent chance to win and the chance to make more dollars than the competitive value of the fight might suggest, though. That's the fight, right, Emmanuel?
It'd be a good fight, but I don't think his promoter partner now would want that to happen. But since Oscar himself, I believe, is looking very forward to fighting Fernando Vargas.
They're not going to look for somebody who they think might beat Vargas. And I don't know. If Mosley's made the commitment to come back to welterweight, I think he should stay at welterweight and see how far he can go.
What about the possibility that's been discussed of De La Hoya coming back as a welterweight and fighting Costa Tszyu?
I like that fight.
I like that fight, too. That's a good fight.
I think fans would love that fight. Tremendous action fight.
But it's a lot of guys. There's also Arturo Gatti, who said he's moving up to welterweight now.
We remember Arturo Gatti.
Come on, Jose Luis. Okay, you gotta be nice and calm. Yeah. Don't let him impress you with his last 10 seconds. We only got last round.
Last round, touch-ups on the ring.
All right? You're doing good. You're doing good, baby. You're doing real nice. You want to show us how? Thumbs up for you. Deep breath. Be careful this last round. I don't care what you do. Be careful for him, okay? You don't try to come out bombing because you know what? He's too far behind. Okay, if you see like that, take his hand. All right? You're boxing him. Keep stepping. Keep stepping.
We asked Mosley how he felt about being on the undercard to Barrera, and he just said, well, you know, I'm coming back. I'm retooling myself as a welterweight, and I think that's perfectly appropriate.
Mosley went the distance in his first welterweight comeback fight against David Estrada, and now it looks as though he may go the distance here. 10 rounds against Jose Luis Cruz. Cruz's eye is swollen shut, but it's held up well enough for him to probably finish the fight. We're in the 10th and last round here. 2.5 minutes to go.
Can you recall, Emmanuel, a single time when Mosley unwisely pulled back from punches in this fight, which was considered a major flaw at one point?
No, but he need to be boxing more though. Still, he's doing just the opposite. In fact, he used to pull straight back and get hit, but this case, sure, he's mainly just throwing punches and then moving too much, smothering his work.
Good punch landed by Cruz.
He's thrown his 2 best combinations of the fight in the last 30 seconds here. One of them was a double left hook to the body, and he landed a right hand upstairs. Then he landed a conventional 1-2 and almost managed to follow up with a left hook.
You know, this accents a point I made before the fight, guys, which is that an undefeated fighter can be hard to beat simply because he thinks he can't lose, and he's just hanging in there, Cruz, and you got to give him credit for that.
I think that's a very good statement. That's why it's always in the game we say it's sometimes very difficult to beat an undefeated fighter.
On the other hand, he may have lost every round here.
But he's never given up is the point.
And perhaps that's good for Mosley, who is accustomed to competing and has needed to compete here tonight. Cruz almost got in that big right hand.
If he had a little bit more speed with his hand, Shane would have a pretty rough night.
Well, so the matchmaker was correct in assessing that Cruz wouldn't be fast enough to be dangerous to Shane.
That's correct.
If he had a pretty fast right hand, Emmanuel, he wouldn't be this fighter. He'd be a different one.
There's a low blow for Cruz, and less than 30 seconds to go. Robert Byrd issues the warning.
Let's get out. Let's work. 10 seconds.
It's a brawl down the stretch. And Cruz runs around and presents himself to the audience as though he's a big winner. No, don't tell me they're going to lift him up. I love it. They lift him up, he might have lost every round. Talk about dreamland. But hey, first time in a big show in Las Vegas, enjoy yourself. And very quickly, let's take a look at the identities of the three judges. Dwayne Ford is more famous than ever in the wake of his controversial scorecard for Taylor Hopkins. Remember, he's the one who gave the 12th round to Taylor and thus tilted the fight in Jermaine's direction. Chuck Giampa is, like Dwayne Ford, a veteran and respected judge who's had a lot of great nights over the years. He had Eric Morales winning over Manny Pacquiao 115-113, and that was the right score in my particular view. C.J. Ross, less well known than the other two. And Jeff Lacey's a knockout puncher. Michael Buffer is ready with the official particulars on the decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, here at the MGM Grand, we go to the scorecards. Dwayne Ford has it 98-92. Chuck Giampa 96-94. C.J. Ross 97-93. All to the winner by unanimous decision, Sugar Shane